Hello, everyone. Welcome to Saturn Slam review of 2017 Money in the Bank. I said that word. That was a misordered sentence.
Your words are wording very
All
well.
all wrong. I haven't even had one of these yet.
I gotta show you some TVs on the TV.
Talking about the TV she saw on the TV in the 70s.
Inside joke.
Yes. Curious choice to make for this. I bet you all weren't expecting this format to return so quickly, or ever. Neither were we. I just happened to be in the area, so I'm like, yeah, might as well. So, Money in the Bank 2017 reminded me a lot of Clash of Champions 2016, where a lot of the matches on the card were good, but the endings were all wrong.
Yes.
Overall, I'd have to give this show a thumbs down overall. I mean, if I could give it a thumbs in the middle, which I suppose I could do because it's my show,
Yeah.
I would. But it's definitely the weakest SmackDown Live pay-per-view they've ever done. And that's impressive considering that, Backlash was not a damn thing to write home about either.
Yeah. Going by my -5 to +5 star system, I'd put this at like a -1, -1.5. It was before the last match. I would say it was about a -3.
Yeah, before the main event, it was not a good pay-per-view at all. But they worked their asses off in the main event, and it was probably one of the better Money in the Bank ladder matches I've seen. It wasn't quite the car crash that some of them are.
Yeah.
But there were still some pretty nasty bumps. I heard that Kevin Owens might actually be legitimately hurt, which would not surprise me because that man
Oh yikes!
did some stuff.
The bump into that ladder.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was disappointed though. He did not continue his great construction work. There was no Kevin Owens architectural marvel in this match, which is somewhat upsetting.
The 7 wonders of Kevin Owens' world.
They're coming. We have the convention center and the
Municipal Center and
municipal
Spa.
center and day spa, because those things go together. Anyway, there was a pre-show match. The Hype Bros, Zack Ryder and Mojo Rawley defeated the Colognes, Primo, and Epico. No one cared. This match went 8 minutes. I wasn't really watching it. I was doing other stuff while that was in the background.
Yeah. Same.
So yeah, that, as we predicted, Hype Bros win over. Big shocker there. Now let's see if they do it. Let's see if they can do anything with more than 2 tag teams at a time on SmackDown.
Maybe not.
I mean, at least they're being booked. There was a time that the tag teams were not being booked on SmackDown.
You're a tag team. Go sit in the bullpen for a while.
We'll call you when you're ready. So that led us into, I should say, the first ever women's Money in the Bank ladder match. They did a very funny promo package, although it wasn't funny at the time, but it's funny considering what happened in this match, about how this is such a great and historic moment for the women, and everyone's going to remember the first ever Miss Money in the Bank.
Oh, they will.
And that's true. That's not quite the way they thought it would. It's more of like when, Frau Verbissina back in time said, "I'll never love another man." And Dr. Evil was like, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, so congratulations to James Ellsworth.
Yeah, first ever Miss Money in the Bank. I've seen some mixed reviews of this match. Some people thought it was pretty good. I honestly thought it was pretty boring.
Yeah.
Right up until the end, which seemed to come out of nowhere. It was only 13 minutes, which is one of the shortest ladder matches ever, much less a ladder match with this many people in it.
Yeah, I think it was, sort of the base of what they could do as a ladder match because none of them had been in this. To be
fair, they played it really safe. Like there were only a couple of spots where they got pushed off the ladder, and no one took any crazy bumps. They were just basic hangmans where you land on your feet and then bounce off the top rope. There was nothing crazy. They barely even used the ladder as a weapon, but they were just some really slow and awkwardly plotting spots, like when Becky and Natalya were doing their tug of war with the ladder.
Yeah, that one was bad. The one where I forget who got knocked off, but Charlotte got the ladder, and it was positioned right under the briefcase. She picks it up, rotates it 90 degrees, and then goes back up the ladder.
Well, that happens a lot in these matches. They're just stalling to the next time cue. Tamina Snuka just looked lost throughout most of this match. Like, she'd do a spot and then, like, kind of awkwardly walk around, not sure what to do next.
Yeah, I was...
Which I can't believe for a second that they would be foolish enough to try to call a ladder match in the ring, especially considering that none of them have been in a ladder match before. So they had it all booked out in the back.
Right.
So either she forgot or they built in the awkwardness.
I don't even... Oh, come on. Doesn't bode well for that.
But anyway, it was I thought it was kind of slow paced, and you know, it didn't thrill me much. I mean, it wasn't terrible. Like, there was no pronounced botches. I mean, there were a couple. And then, you know, Charlotte did this weird, I don't even know what you'd call it, corkscrew senton onto two people on the outside.
Did she try and do a spear?
Oh yeah, Charlotte's spear, which is, I'm going to just kind of, it was the weakest spear I've ever seen, and I've seen some bad ones. I've taken some bad ones, and I've given a couple bad ones, but none that bad.
Good job, Charlotte.
Yeah, worst spear I've ever seen, and I've wrestled really green people before.
So the
she
end
does
of this...
many things well, but spearing not one of them. So the ending, Becky has the briefcase, and then James Ellsworth, reprising his role from Top Anime Betrayals of 2016, pushes her off the ladder, much like he did to Dean Ambrose. And then climbs the ladder himself, which got a huge pop. They were booing him when he pushed Becky off the ladder, but as soon as he started climbing, the crowd went nuts. I don't understand it. He takes the briefcase down, drops it to Carmella, who was smooth as fuck on the catch.
Yeah, like, she got grips.
She's got hands. She could go pro. Then they started booming again.
Yeah. Well, because I think everyone was surprised. They were like, it was a confused like cheer because they're like, oh my goodness.
No, as soon as he started going up the ladder, they were cheering. Like, they wanted this to happen, and then they got it, and they're like, oh, I did not want that at all.
Yeah, because they probably thought that, of course, the women's Money in the Bank would not end with a guy grabbing the briefcase.
Anyone who was alive for WrestleMania 25 should never have expected that not to happen. Santina Marella. That was a thing, ladies and gentlemen. Ask your parents or older wrestling fans. I love how I talk about how 2009 was like this long ago bygone era.
Must well be.
Yeah, I mean the wrestling world, that's like forever. John Cena was champion. That's never happened before or since.
We only have to wait until 4th of July.
Yeah. They'll probably give it to him on that SmackDown. They won't even save it for pay-per-view. It's not like it's going to be a historic title win number 17 or anything like that.
No, not at all.
So, yeah. On one hand, like, the right girl got the case. They're turning this into an angle on SmackDown, which is why they did it. So I'm not too upset about the finish. It's good heat. If nothing else, people are upset about it, which is the idea.
Right.
And I think Carmella's the right person to have the case. And I hope she cashes in sooner rather than later, because I am not being... Naomi's not lighting my world on fire in this current title run.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, she hasn't had the best opponents. We'll get to that later. But I'm surprised they haven't put the belt on Charlotte yet, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
They probably would have if they didn't do the 6-woman tag at Backlash.
Right.
It probably would have been Charlotte versus Naomi. The thing is, they're trying to turn Charlotte babyface, which is a terrible idea.
No. She's not.
But she's been booked that way, and, you know, it seems that's the way they're going. So if they can get the belt off of Naomi onto Carmella, give that a test run. If that's not working out, just put the belt back on Charlotte, because we know that's where it's going eventually. And again, and again, and again.
Charlotte Flair, the girl with the wettest hair. Charlotte Flair.
We were working on lyrics to that.
Yep.
Yeah. The Nature Girl. She's going to break her dad's title record in 5 years. She had 5 in her first year on the roster. Why not?
Go for it.
So that led us to the New Day versus the Usos in a really good match. I was digging this. The Usos have been killing it since the heel turn. And, the New Day are excellent workers once you whether you like their shtick or not, once they get in the ring, they get down to business. And this was, I was really digging this match, and then the Usos walked out.
Yeah.
I mean, a heel move, it keeps the titles on them. They'll get another match out of it. But it only went 12 minutes, and I was like just getting into it. Like, I wasn't just getting into it. I bought into a lot of the near falls. Like, when they hit the midnight hour, I'm like, oh, no. But then, the Samoan revival went down and dirty and, pulled his foot out of the ropes. And it was a good match. I wish it would have gone a little bit longer and, maybe a DQ finish. But, like, the walking out is kind of lame.
Yeah, especially for a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kofi Kingston, who decided they could innovate by doing a trust fall.
Yeah, he went up there. I wasn't sure what he was going to do. And then he jumped up. And I was like, okay, where's this going? High cross body? No, he did the little pirouette in the air and came down in a trust fall and landed clearly on his feet, yet somehow took out both Usos. Big E did his spear through the ropes. He did not kill himself this time, but it's coming.
Soon.
He really needs to stop doing that, because the best that happens is he breaks his shoulder. Yeah. So,
yikes.
Stop that, Biggie. You are 315 pounds. You're not a cruiserweight.
God, I wish.
And it's worse than a suicide dive, because at least with a suicide dive, you jump out, kind of land on your feet and push them. But with this, he's like going full bore, like landing on them and then trying not to break his neck.
Caution to the wind.
Yeah, you're too big a guy to be doing that. I mean, impressive you can do it, but just maybe save it for like WrestleMania and do it once a year.
Oh, that would be nice.
Like the Undertaker's big suicide dive. He didn't do that every match. He only did it at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like he had a long career that was very successful or anything. So that led us to the women's title match, Naomi versus Lana. I don't know why they thought Lana was quite ready for a title match, let alone a singles match on the main roster.
Maybe they were getting like restless. And
she needed a couple more, I don't know, months in NXT. Like, I don't think that she has zero potential.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't awful. I've seen worse. But at the same time, she was in there, like, moving at 3/4 speed. She didn't have much in the way of offense. She had a couple of suplexes, which looked okay. A little low, which tells me that she's not strong enough to get him up high.
right.
She had a couple weird kicks, which, whatever, she's flexible. She can pull that off. She had very risque attire, and if she wasn't wearing whatever she was wearing, we would have seen some vaginal lips on this show.
I just don't remember much from this. It wasn't memorable.
No, because like it was, the whole thing went 7 minutes. It was 5 minutes of Lana doing some like really slow plotting offense, and then Naomi like countering and getting the upper hand, getting the heat on Lana for most of the match. A near fall off of her finish, so they already had someone kick out of her finish in her first singles match.
Wow.
And then Carmella came down to tease a cash-in. Nothing came of it. It distracted Lana, I guess, more than it did Naomi. And Lana Naomi locked Lana in her wacky submission hold, which looks better now than it did at WrestleMania. When she busted it at WrestleMania, I'm like, what even is happening here? But now it kind of looks like a goofy Rings of Saturn. So, that's how it is. Naomi taps out Lana, still your champ. Not exactly laying my... I don't say this often, she carried that match.
Yeah.
But still, like, I think the Naomi as champion experiment is kind of failing. And I think it's time to make a change.
We're still at the point where it's a pretty smooth transition.
Yeah, you have options. Like I explained this to Peter, that the Money in the Bank briefcase usually is like the get out of jail free card for bad booking on these shows. Because if someone's champion and it's not working out, or someone gets injured, they just run the cash in.
Yep.
So now that they have that option with the woman, I think that will help tremendously. And Carmella, I would expect within the next 3 or 4 months, will be champion. After that, we had...
Well, let's take a brief intermission somewhere in here to the aside that the Breezango...
Yes, the Fashion Files, I think, were next.
Yes, where they did an aside. It was like a Miami Vice thing, and then they threw a bunch of Michael Jackson references in there.
Yeah, the Fashion Files segments have been running on SmackDown for a while, and they've been consistently entertaining. And they set up a match for later in the show where we were going to find out who trashed The Office and attacked Tyler Breeze. More on that later. In between this, we had a surprise debut of the former Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis. Now, Mike and Maria Kanellis. Maria cut a promo about how she's come back to the WWE after 7 years and cut a much better promo than she ever cut in her first run here, because she's learned a lot about being a professional wrestler. She talked about how she was the first lady of WWE, and, they're so in love, I guess, is the gimmick.
And they were just like, oh no, rubbing their foreheads together.
I'm really kind of upset that this is how they decide to bring Mike Bennett in. At least he's... Actually, I shouldn't say at least he's not going to toil in NXT for a while. He'd be much better off in NXT. But I guess they're like, well, Miz and Maurice moved over to Raw in the shakeup, so slot these guys in there. Which, I mean, if we get Mike Bennett in the U.S. title hunt, that wouldn't be too bad. But, they couldn't find an opponent. Like, he couldn't wrestle. Like, you had Ty Dillinger and Luke Harper not doing anything.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know why they were on the card. I would much rather have seen one of them in the men's Money in the Bank match than Dolph Ziggler.
Dolph Ziggler.
Who could possibly care at this point?
Oh, Worm Wiggler.
Even the most diehard Dolph supporters at this point have to have given up. There's a rumor that he might not be much longer for the wrestling world, which I think is a good thing. He should at least leave WWE. If he wants to go to ROH or New Japan, maybe they can turn him into something. Maybe go to TNA and just cash a paycheck once a month, maybe, if it clears. But he's not salvageable at this point in WWE. They tried, they gave him a shot against Dean at SummerSlam, and he blew it.
Yep.
So that's that.
That's a shame.
Yeah, so we had the WWE Championship match, third from the bottom. Always a great place for it. Jinder Mahal and Randy Orton wrestled the same match they wrestled at Backlash.
But with a Father's Day twist.
Yeah. So they had the St. Louis Legends at ringside and Ric Flair for some reason. And, you knew they were going to get involved in the match at some point, but they wrestled, again, a slowed-down version of their match at Backlash. Randy Orton hit his Daddy-O superplex, and then completely forgot that Jinder was working his knee for the first half of the match, and just ran around and did whatever. And then the Singh brothers interfere, and the referee froze them out. They're ejected. But instead of leaving, they go over to the St. Louis Legends and start jaw-jacking with them and threatening them. And they grab Cowboy Bob Orton by his, dress collar. And then, of course, Randy Orton comes over to make the save, and he just beats on the Singh brothers for what seems like 5 minutes.
It's fantastic.
At no point in time did the referee attempt to count Randy Orton out.
No.
Or disqualify Jinder Mahal for the Singh brothers' interference. Or really even care that the Singh brothers never went to the back.
It's a Father's Day miracle.
So this whole wacky sequence culminates with Randy putting one of them through the announce table with an old school RKO, back when he used to get the little run and start behind him, back in 2005 when he looked healthy and awake. And he walks back into the ring, right into the Cobra Clutch Slam again. Same exact finish as Backlash. Same lack of caring.
Yep.
Well, actually, at Backlash, people were shocked and outraged. Mostly outraged and a little shocked.
But neither this time.
But yeah, no one really gives a shit. Jinder Mahal's still champion, keeping the belt warm for Cena. It's like it's 2007 again, and you're anyone who's not named John Cena. You're just keeping the belt warm for him. So he's coming back 4th of July SmackDown. I assume he's going to get a title shot automatically again for no reason, much like he did at the Royal Rumble when he's just like, I'm John Cena, title shot, please.
Yep.
And Shane and Daniel Bryan were like, okay. Even though we're all about making everyone else earn shit.
You can't see me, but you can see me through to this title match. Just put me in.
Just greases some palms.
Yeah, because he's done with his Camp Grit show.
Yeah, his American Grit. I'm surprised that got a second season, to be perfectly honest with you.
There was a first season?
Yeah, it did not do well. And they brought it back.
Ooh.
I guess Fox just needs programming.
Seems
Anytime
right.
you want to do that full time, Cena, go right ahead. And then in between this, we had Fandango and Tyler Breeze versus their mystery opponents, which turned out to be the Surf Dudes with Attitudes. No, that would have been better. It was just the Ascension. And they came out with their goofy face paint still, and Connor was about 30 pounds heavier than the last time I saw him. He's been hitting McDonald's and not the gym, and they lost on a roll-up. No one was done any favors by this match. Breezango, despite being the most over thing on Backlash, were, being pushed down to the lower card. At least they're doing something with them. But you have other teams. Let them feud with American Alpha. That would be an amazing series of matches, because all 4 of those guys can really go.
But as you said, they can't hold more than 2 teams.
No, they have the smallest attention spans. The champions and whoever's working with the champions. Those are the only tag teams they can handle. But now they've got the Hype Bros back. You gotta figure they're doing something with them. You have pieces. You can run more than one tag match on a show. It's not impossible. It can be done before. It's been done before. So that was just a cooler match to separate the semi-main from the main event. And the main event was Baron Corbin, AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, Dolph Ziggler, Sami Zayn, and Kevin Owens in the Money in the Bank ladder match. During Nakamura's entrance, he was jumped from behind by Baron Corbin and was gone for the first 20 minutes of this match. This match went 30 minutes. So they all killed each other. Kevin Owens took the worst of it.
Crumpled the ladder under him.
Yeah, there was a spot where he went up to the top rope, teasing like he was going to do a dive to the outside onto Styles, Corbin, and Dolph. But no, out of nowhere, Sami Zayn gave him this, I guess you'd call it a press slam, onto a ladder that was on his side, and it collapsed the ladder, and then he took another bump. AJ Styles gave him a fireman's carry slam through the ladder. Sami Zayn hit a sunset flip powerbomb off the top of the ladder.
That was pretty
Just
sweet.
Crazy stuff happening all over again. Sami Zayn worked his ass off. And then Nakamura came out, and he gave Kinshasas to everyone.
It was fantastic. He came out and the song was playing, and Baron tried to jump him again, and they cut off the music, but the whole crowd kept singing.
Yeah, for like
And I was
5 minutes afterward.
This is exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, they made him look like a real badass here, which is exactly what he needed. He just killed everyone, and then he and Styles had a stare down, and the place went ballistic. And then they set the ladder aside, and then they had their little mini match, teasing something for I don't know, SummerSlam or WrestleMania. Hopefully WrestleMania. I think SummerSlam's a little too soon. And then they were on the ladder, they were fighting, and then Baron won.
Yeah. No, as soon as I saw them on the ladder and I looked at the timestamp, I'm like, there's enough time left for this to not be the end of it. Oh, and Baron we're betting on Baron. Okay, so they're gonna fight and then he's gonna steal it. All right, and then it happened.
Baron won as we predicted. A lot of people maybe not happy with this, but the right guy has the case, in my opinion. Whether you like him or not, he's clearly being earmarked for bigger things. Case is usually a good way to get someone a title when they're not 100% sold on him. And, he's a pretty good worker. The knock against him is that there's nothing really interesting about him, but maybe the case is something to get